Good morning, class 8. Today we are going to start chapter 6, combustion and flame. In class 7, in chapter physical and chemical changes, we have done an activity in which we came to know that magnesium ribbon was heated over a Bunsen burner and it was found to form magnesium oxide and produce heat and light. Do you remember that experiment? Thus we came to know that when a substance burns, heat is released and light may also be produced. For example, when we burn a paper, it burns with a flame. But substances like coal does not burn with a flame. When paper burns, you have seen that a flame comes out. But when a coal burns, you have never seen a flame to come out. Very few times you may have seen it. So that process where heat and light is produced is called combustion. This is a chemical process in which a substance burns in oxygen of air to give off heat and light which may or may not be produced. Now, burning needs oxygen. That thing you have learned in class 5. Do you remember the experiment of burning of candle which was being extinguished by covering up with a glass? If you remember that experiment, you can remember the whole process that explains that burning needs oxygen. So, combustion is a chemical process in which a substance burns in oxygen to give off heat and light. But light may be visible, may not be visible. Combustible substances, these are the substances that burns easily in air to produce heat and light which may or may not be seen. For example, wood, paper, kerosene, these things burn very easily when fire is held before them. But non-combustible substances are also there. These are the substances that do not burn in air or oxygen. For stone, for example, stone, steel, glass, etc. These type of things do not burn in oxygen in normal temperature. Simply, we can also say that substances that burn easily or catch fire easily are called combustible substances. Like as I said, paper, wood, etc. Substances which are not capable of igniting and burning easily are called non-combustible substances like stone, steel, glass, etc. Now, combustion is a chemical change that we have already studied in class 7. For example, during combustion, coal reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. As you can see, carbon plus oxygen of air makes carbon dioxide plus energy, that is heat and light, what we are talking about. Hydrogen reacts with oxygen to form water. Hydrogen and oxygen of air makes water. Again, heat and light is produced. That are the forms of energy that is being produced sidewise. So, in both the conditions, we can see that combustion requires oxygen and combustion produces energy. Now, what are the conditions necessary for combustion? There are some conditions which are necessary for combustion. But before that, we should know about ignition temperature, what we have been talking here. There we have stated a word igniting. So first we have to know what is ignition or ignition temperature. Ignition temperature is the minimum temperature at which a substance starts burning on its own. For example, ignition temperature of paper is 451 degree Fahrenheit or 233 degrees centigrade. Do you ever think when we burn a paper that much of temperature is required for burning of paper? Oh my God. Ignition temperature of wood is 250 to 300 degrees centigrade. Now what is ignition? Now I will explain what is ignition temperature. When you bring a burning matchstick before a paper, you will notice that after a few seconds the paper catches the fire. Now what happens in those few seconds? The heat from that burning stick gives heat to the paper, and when the paper gets heated up up to this type of temperature, then only it is capable of catching the fire from that burning matchstick. So when the paper reach this type of temperature, then only it will show the flame. It will catch the flame and starts burning. Till then it will increase this temperature, and then when we say burning on its own, that means it will increase this temperature to catch the flame of that burning matchstick, and then only it will start burning with a flame. So combustion does not take place all the time in nature. It doesn't take place all the time in nature. It takes place only if the following conditions are made. So since combustion does not take place every time, some conditions are required. What are the conditions? A combustible substance, that is the substance which can burn easily in atmospheric condition, that we have just now studied. So a combustible substance has to be present, like wood, paper, etc. Oxygen of air is available, because we know burning needs oxygen. And the third point is ignition of temperature, that is that temperature has to be attained by this combustible substance, then only that substance will start combustion. So that temperature has to be attained. If all these three conditions are fulfilled, then only the substance will start combustion. If any of these conditions is not met, combustion does not take place. If any of the 3 points are not met, then the combustion will not take place. This is why when a person catches fire, he is covered with a blanket. We may have seen or heard 1,000 times, when someone catches fire, he needs to be covered up with a blanket. Why it is so? Because the blanket cuts off the air supply, that is the blanket cuts off the oxygen supply and thus extinguishes the fire. As we said, if any of these 3 points are missing, then the combustion will not take place. So the most easy thing to do is to cut off the oxygen, so stop the combustion. So we have came to know about combustion and its different conditions today. In next class we will discuss something more. Till then, thank you.